Welcome to lecture number 7 of Python for Researchers. This is module 1, and in module 1 we are doing Python from scratch. So in lecture number 7, this is very interesting lecture because in this lecture we will be using all of those concepts that we have learned in our previous lectures by using different projects. So first of all, without wasting any time, we are just moving to the projects because there are almost 10 projects in this video. So the first project is determine if the given input number is even or odd. So we have already done that project, but we will do that again. But I will try to incorporate new things here. Just like I'm just making a variable that will be number, means the variable will be num, and it will take input from the user and convert that input into integer. So I'm writing a prompt, enter a number. Now this code will ask the user to enter a number, and now I'm writing conditions that if number modulo 2, that means if you divide the number by 2 and whatever the remainder if that remainder is equal to 0, so that means the number is divisible by 2, and if a number is divisible by 2, then you have to print that the number is odd. Right now in this code, what I want is I would like to display the number that the user has input as well. So there is a command in print that is F, and then we write the quotation mark. So F means formatted message. We are going to formatted string, just like so. Inside, if I just write num, so this num in curly braces means within this message the value of num will be used. So num is even, and I close the quotation mark. Else I will remove the indentation, and else print formatted text, formatted string. That means num, so curly braces we need, num means the variable, the value that is stored in the num variable is odd. So that's it. Let's run the program. 8. So 8 is even. If I run this again, if I write 9, so 9 is odd. So this is improved version of the previous project that we have already done. Okay, now project number 2. We have to find out the number of factors of an input. Suppose if I write 3, so factors means how many numbers can divide 3. So 3 is divisible by 1 and 3 itself. And if I write 2, so there are 2 factors of 2, 1 and 2 itself. If I write 4, so it should return me 3 because there are 3 numbers that can divide 4. So 1, 2 and 4. If I write 9, so 9 is divisible by 1, then 3, then 9 itself. So the answer should be 3. So I want to make a project like this. And even if I write a very big number, that will also return the number of factors of that number. So first of all, what we need to do is the same thing. We will ask user to input a number. So num is equal to integer converted, integer casted input, and the input message will be enter a number. Then I'm making a list. Factors is equal to, and in that list means I want a sort of loop or anything in which the program should start from, suppose if I'm writing 3, so the program should start from looking from 1 and then 2, then 3. So it should divide all these numbers by my given input, and if it is divisible, it should store that number in this list. If it is not divisible, then it should not. So I'm just writing I here. And what I will do, I will be used in for loop for I in range from 1 till num plus 1. So I'm writing plus 1 because we know that in range the last number is not included, and if we want to include that, we will add 1 to it. So let's suppose the value of num is 5. So if I just write 1 comma num, so the loop will run until 4, not 5. So I'm adding 1 to run the loop till 5 numbers. And I value will be written here, but when? Every time? No. If num modulo I, that means I from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on, is 0. That means what will this whole code do? Let's suppose I enter 5. So now the list of factors will have the value I, and I is actually from 1 till 5, all those numbers that are divisible by means that are divisible by the num that I have entered. And if they are divisible, I will be added in the list of factors, and if it is not, then it will not be added. Right? So I write now print f means formatted string, number of factors of the variable that num has the value, the input value of the user is. And then what I want to do is instead of printing the factors, like I want to print how many numbers are there in factors. Like suppose if the list of factors are 3, so it should write 3 instead of listing all those numbers. So there is a command that is len. Len means length of the list of factors. So it will give me the length of that factors, right? If you are confused in the command len, then I can give you an example here. Like suppose if I say x is equal to list that is 2, 3, 4, 5. So the length of x is 4 because there are 4 members in this list. So this code will do that. It will count the number of elements in the list of factors, and then it will return it. So I will close the quotation mark here. Not here actually, here. So that the print bracket is there. Okay, fine. So let's check. If I write 8, so the number of factors of 8 is 4. Means there are 4 numbers that can divide 8. So it's 1, 2, 4 and 8 itself. So there are 4 numbers that can divide 8. So even you can try a big number as well. Suppose if I write 100, so 100 has 9 factors in even a big number like 2, 5, 6, 0, 9. So it has only 2 factors. Oh, that means it is a prime number. Because we know from our previous mathematics knowledge that if a number has exactly 2 factors, then it is a prime number, and if it has more than 2 factors, then it is a composite number, and if it has exactly 1, so it is neither prime nor composite. So that's the that is next project what we are going to do. So what we are going to do is, in this project the user will input a number, and then we will find out whether this number is prime or composite or neither. So the flow of program will be that first we want user to input a number, and then we will check if number is more than 1. And obviously if number is equal to 1, so we will say that this is neither prime nor composite. But if number is more than 1, then we will check the number of factors. If the number of factors are more than 2, then we say that this is a composite number. If the number of factors are exactly 2, we say this is a prime number. So let's start that. Num is equal to, I can copy that. Num is equal to integer input a number. So we are taking a number from the user. Now if num is greater than 1, so that means if the number that the user has entered is greater than 1, that may be 2, 3, 4, 5 or any number. So for I in range 2 till num plus 1, means we will start from 2 because we are not counting 1. If num modulo I is equal to 0, that means if the number is divisible by 2, so we will write print f means formatted string num is prime, right? And then what we want is we want to break the loop here. That means if we have found it that this is divisible by the number I, that means the loop will start from 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. If number is divisible by 5, so obviously if number is divisible by less than a number which we have input there, suppose if I enter 10, and if the number is divisible by 4, so loop should stop there, because we have found that the number is divisible by a number other than the input number, so that is definitely not a prime number, and so on. And else print format is a string, num is prime. Sorry, that was composite. I have mistakenly written prime here. Composite. So if not, then obviously it is not divisible by any number lower than the number given. So we say this is a prime number. And else maybe the number is neither even or neither composite nor prime. So we will say print formatted string num is neither prime nor composite. Okay, so let's check this code. Okay, I have made a syntax error here. Print f num is neither prime nor composite. The code looks perfectly fine. Let's recheck this. Cell line number 8, print, then bracket f is prime. Okay, here on this line. Okay, I forgot to close the quotation. Now let's run it. So let's suppose I enter 8. 8 is composite because it is divisible by 2, divisible by 4. If I enter, let's suppose 7, 7 is not composite, 7 is prime, so there is some error here. And if I write, let's suppose 1, 1 is neither prime nor composite. So why we are getting error here for 7? 7 is prime, it should say that 7 is prime. So instead of this, let's remove this. Now check. 7 is prime. Yes, that's perfect. 9 is composite. 10 is composite. Because we are not including that number. We should not include the number which we have here. So we are checking all the numbers which are less than the given number. Like suppose if we are checking whether a number is prime or not, we should check all those numbers which are smaller than that. If the number is divisible by any number which is smaller than that, then it is composite. So technically the mathematical knowledge ask me not to include the number which was the input here. Alright, so the next project is sum of n integers. Sum of n integer means whatever the number has been input, we have to add all the integers till that number. We have done a similar sort of project before, so let's start. Again the same command, num is equal to integer input enter a number, and then I'm making total. Total is actually sum from where? From range 1 till the number that was given. So instead of using a for loop, I can also use that command as well. That the variable total will be sum. Sum of what numbers? In sum, I can just write 1 plus 2 plus 3, so it will add 1, 2 and 3. And now instead of writing all the numbers, I am writing the range from 1 till num plus 1. That means from 1 till the number the user has entered. And obviously adding 1 because the range command does not include the last number, so we are adding 1 so that it can be included. And now that's it, we are done. So we will just print the message to the user. Print formatted string and num, the sum of integers. Okay, the sum of integers from 1 till the number that the user has entered is, and then in another formatted string I will write total, means the value of the variable total. So let's see, if I write 8, the sum of integers is 36, and actually I should add space here. Now it will look better, because you can enter a number and 8 is, there is no space there, so if you want a space you should write there. So enter, and now if I write 10, the sum of first 10 integers from 1 till 10 is obviously 1 plus 2 plus 3 till 10 is 55. Okay, now multiplication table, we have already done that, so let's repeat again the same thing. User will enter a number, and then for I in range 1 till 11, so I need till 10, so that's why I'm writing 11 here. So for I in range 1 till 11, print, now this time instead of using the previous format I will use the formatted strings. So print number, and then x, and then the value of the for loop, that will be 1 2 3 4 and so on each time, and then equal to, and then in another curly bracket I will write num times I. So that was simpler than that, but I did not want you to get confused in the initial lecture, so that is why I have introduced the formatted string here. So obviously I had to add something new instead of just writing all the previous stuff. So I'm just deliberately not adding everything in one lecture, so that gradually I want you to learn that things. So 13, the times table, the multiplication table of 13 is here. Achha, what if we want the user to, like, instead of 10 multiples, I want user to enter how many multiples the user needs. Suppose the user needs the multiplication table from 1 till 15. So we should ask the user that how many multiples do you need. So for this, what we can do is we can just, the first step will be same, that is user will enter a number, and then we are just using another variable here. So I will just reuse this, enter the how many multiples do you need. So this message will be this, how many multiples do you need, space, and also space here. And instead of using the variable num, I will just use the variable limit for it. Okay, limit for it. And then the same thing for I in range 1 till limit plus 1, because obviously if the user has entered 15, I don't want 14 multiples, I need 15 multiples, so I need to add 1 to it. And then the same thing, I'm just copying this again and pasting it here. Print number times I times the same thing, because we don't need to change anything here. Let's try multiplication table of 8, and we need first 15 multiples. So we have multiplication table of 8 and first 15 multiples. Okay, what if we need all multiplication tables? Let's suppose if I write 5, so the Python should show me multiplication tables from 2 till 5. Maybe just like I want to print some times table for my class, so I need first 15 timetables, means from 2 3 4 5 6, so first 10 multiples of 15. So for that thing, what we can do is let's code it here. So first step remains the same. I will just copy and paste it here. Number is equal to integer input, enter a number, and then for I in range 2 till the number user has entered, because we need times table from 2 till the number user has entered. Alright, now what we need here, we need print formatted, And now if you need a new line, because if you want to print a new line, you will write \n. So it will just make a new line, and then it will print the message. So times table for I. Now what will this code do? Suppose if I write 5 here. So when I run this loop, for I is in range 2 to 5 was my input. So the first value will be 2, and then the interpreter will print times table for 2, and then next value will be 3. It will print time tables of 3, and then 4, then 5. Okay, after printing this, the display should show the times table. So for that, for now instead of I will write j in range 1 till 11, because I need 10 multiples, so I will write 11 here. And this is inside, means this is a nested loop, a loop in another loop. So for j in range 1 to 11, I want to print, then formatted string, and the number, so that will be I, because we need 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. That is stored in variable I. So I, then times, then j, because j is 1, then 2, then 3, then 4 till 11, so till 10 obviously. So this number, and then is equal to I times j, and that's it. Now let's suppose I want multiplication table for 4, so times table for 2, times table for 3, times table for 4. And if I rerun this code, let's suppose if I write 9, so I have times table from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what the code is doing, actually this block of code is run first, and then the value will be 2, then 3, then 4, and with 2 this block of code will again run. So 2 times, because the value of I is 2, so 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3. When this loop is completed, then it will move to the upper loop, and then in the upper loop the value of 2 will become 3, and then the same process will be repeated for 3, then 4, and then 5, and so on. So just with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of code, you can get this much thing. Okay, now let's suppose I need sum of even numbers up to n. Let's suppose if I write 50, so whatever the even numbers till 50 are, I need sum of those numbers. So for this thing, again, the first step will be, we will ask user to input a number. So again, num is equal to integer input, enter a number, and then we need sum of numbers. So total is equal to sum, from where did I, for I in range from 2, because the first even number is 2, num plus 1. Actually it's 0, but it doesn't make any sense of adding 2. And then introducing a new thing, that is comma 2. So this is a step. A step means how many numbers should be skipped. So it should means the step is 2. That means when the loop will run, the first value will be 2, then 4, then 6, then 8, and then so on. If I write 3 here, so first value will be 2, then 5, then 8, then 11, and so on. So this is how we can give a step number value in the range. Okay, and then we will just print formatted string, the sum of even integers up to the number that user has entered is the total that we just calculated. Let's run this code. 9, so sum of even integers up to 9 is 20. That means 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8, that is 20. Alright, next project is, we want to find out, we want to get the list of all prime numbers till the given input number. Let's suppose if I write 13, so how many prime numbers are there before 13? And maybe I enter a big number. So how many prime numbers are there before that number? So first of all, again, the user will input a number. So num is equal to integer casted of input, enter a number. And then I'm making a list of prime numbers. Initially it will be an empty list, and then I will keep adding numbers into it. Means I will run a block of code. In that code, what the program will do, it will start from 1, and then it will see that 1 is prime, no, it's not a prime, so it will not add in the list. Then 2 is prime, yes, so it will add that 2 in this list. And then 3 is prime, it will add that, and so on. It will keep going until the number is achieved, the number that the user has written that. And if the list is completed, then in the end I want to display that list. And even you can do other operations as well yourself, like you can add up those numbers, so you can find number of prime numbers using the length command that we learned earlier. So the first step is for possible prime. Instead of writing I'm just writing possible prime. So for possible prime in range, you can write any variable like a, b, c, d, e, or I, in range from 2 till num plus 1. That means this loop will run from 2 and keep checking. Is prime is true. Okay, so first of all, for is prime is true, that means I'm defining a condition that if the variable, that a random variable that I have just created is true, then for num in range 2 till possible prime, that means from start from 2 and then till possible prime numbers. So we don't know what possible prime number will have. If possible prime, that means the number that we are doing, divided by number. Divided by number, that means if we divide that and then the remainder of that number is 0, then what will it do? Then is prime will be false, because obviously if the number is divisible by another, if the possible prime number is divisible by the number that is entered by the user, then will that number be a prime? No, that will be false. So that's why it will be false. And then if is prime, no, P was capital, yeah, P, I wrote P capital. If is prime, that means if the number is prime, then what should it do? Prime dot append. This command is used to append some number in the list. So what should it append? It should append the possible prime number that was tested. Possible prime. So this code is just adding the numbers, prime numbers, in the list of primes that we declared above. Now we just have to print f, means formatted text, prime numbers up to the number entered by user are, and then we will print the prime number list. Primes, actually the s is there, and even here s should be there. Let's check. If I write 9, so the number of prime numbers up to 8 obviously are 2, 3, 5, 7. And let's suppose if I write 40 here, so all the prime numbers up to, if you want you can just write no, that's fine. So prime numbers up to 39 are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23. Yeah, you can see it has skipped 21 because 21 is not prime. 27 is also skipped, so it has just listed all the numbers. And what if we enter just a prime number, just like let's see, 53. 53 is a prime number, so you can see 53 is included there, right? And if you want this message to be altered, so you can just write primes plus 1. So now if I write 53, it's making an error, so we can just remove that. 53, so that's it. Okay, now the last project of this lecture, list of factors of a number. So let's suppose if we say that the number is not prime, then what are the numbers that can divide that number? Like for example, if I say 8, is 8 a prime number? No, it is not a prime number. So if it is not a prime number, then what are the numbers that can divide 8? 8 is divisible by 1, 2, 4 and 8 itself. So there are 4 factors of 8. So what we want is, we want to generate a list of factors. Like here the prime numbers are listed here, so we want a list that will show all the possible factors of a number. So let's start. First step will be same, num is equal to integer casting of input, and input will be enter a number. And then factors, there is a list which is an empty list, and we will add factors here. For factors list in range, so factor list is just a variable, you can write for I in range, up to you. So factors in list 1 till num plus 1. If num, that means the number that was entered by the user, is divided by factors list, means if we divide the number by factors list, and factor list, what will be the factor list? It will start from 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Means I'm asking Python to check whether 1 is divisible by number, 2 is divisible by number, 3 is divisible by number, till the number the user has entered. All of these numbers will be checked whether these are divisible by not. Now let's suppose if the user enters 9, so this program will first check whether 1 is divisible by 9, then 2 is divisible by 9, then 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If number is divisible by 9, let's suppose 1 or 2 or 3, so if that number is divisible by 9, then what should it do? Means if that thing is equal to 0, if the modulo is 0, that means it is divisible. If that number is divisible by the number, then what should it do? It should append factors dot append, means in factors list append a number. Which number should it append? The number which the loop was checking. Like suppose if it is divisible by 3, so 3 will be added into the list. So it will just keep adding the numbers, and then we want Python to print a message in formatted string that the list of all possible factors of the number that you have entered is factors. Python is case sensitive, so if you just write wrong spelling or case, it will show you an error. So the list of all possible factors of 9 is 1, 3 and 9. Obviously 9 is divisible by 1, and then 3 and then 9. Now let's suppose if I write a big number, 60. So these are all numbers that can divide 60. So I hope this video was very useful for you. If you are not a math guy, then obviously you have got a little bored, but this is very interesting exercise to learn basic maths as well. So that's it for this lecture. Thank you very much. And next lecture is very important, that is how to create a function. Like print is a function, so how can you create your own function? So see you in the next lecture.